What's going on, everybody, and welcome to episode 15 of The Bird's Nest. I'm Tanner Gilmartin alongside Max Gretzula, and today we're going to dive into the Eagles' 37-17 loss to Dallas, which officially eliminated us from the playoff picture. Jalen Hurts, 21 of 39, 342 yards, one touchdown, and two interceptions late in that fourth quarter. Jalen Hurts, he wasn't the problem here in this game. Of course, he made a few rookie mistakes. Max, who was most responsible for this loss?
Well, it could have been a lot of individuals, but you got to look to the defense as a whole. The secondary, specifically, Amari Cooper, basically getting anything he wanted. CD Lamb, another 2 touchdowns added. One specifically later on in that ball game that really kind of put the nail in the coffin. So the defense completely an embarrassment yesterday. Offensive line, a lot of penalties that you didn't want to see. Specifically, when Darius Slay has that interception in the second half, we're in field goal range, and then automatically we're not because you have Matt Pryor with a false start. Immediately after that, you have Zach Ertz with a false start, and just like that, we're out of field goal range. So the defense as a whole, not a good day. Fletcher Cox obviously getting hurt is terrible. You never want to see your best player on the defense go down, but that's what happened. And ultimately, after that, we got outscored by like 21 points once he was off the field the rest of the way. So defensively, not a good effort at all whatsoever. Jim Schwartz probably part of that problem. But once you give up that many points to Dallas Cowboys, who basically were giving up defensively from their standpoint 30 points a game, they only give up 17 in this one. You're not going to win the football game, and that's what happened at the end of the day.
Yeah, you mentioned the penalties, and the Eagles are one of the most penalized teams in the NFL. And you go to the first drive of this game, the Eagles were running over and over again, and it was a run-heavy drive in that one. And then it ends with Jalen Hurts shouldering a guy into the end zone, and it's called back because he did step out. But, man, I was confident about the Birds early in this one. And then you have that Hurts to Djax, 81 yards. To the house, and you're pumped up, but then the Eagles, we mentioned this time and time again, they hurt themselves. You're already on some third stringers, and then you go ahead and you hurt yourself like that penalty-wise. You mentioned Matt Pryor, who has become a huge problem here on the line. And then you go to our defense, Jaquette. He's just letting the team catch all over him. He actually had to be benched because of the way he was playing. And so that was not fun to watch late in this one. Amari Cooper, Michael Gallup, and CeeDee Lamb all over this Eagles defense. Is there hope for this team going forward into next season, and what do they need to do?
Well, I mean, I guess it depends on what you mean by hope. Like, we all can have hope, but realistically, what
Right.
we have going on with this defense right now is probably bottom tier of the league. Definitely, I'm trying to figure
Yeah.
out how far I want to go with that. Do I want to say bottom 10, bottom 5 in the league? You take your pick with that, but ultimately, you have some aging guys on the defensive line, Brandon Graham and Fletcher Cox. Fletcher Cox still producing at a high
Yeah.
level, obviously, but Darius Slay will still be here. And then you have guys that might not be back, might be back. You know, Derek Barnett is another one of those names. But ultimately, this all comes down to the linebacking core. It all comes down to the secondary core. Obviously, we have Rodney McLeod out for the season. Avonte Maddox was out again yesterday as well. So you're going to need to completely reshape and rebuild that defense completely. And offensively, with that top 5 pick, hopefully, let's have some hope there as well with that pick that we're going to get. Draft a receiver because if you don't
Yeah.
have any weapons, man, you're just not going to. This is a points league. You got to put up points if you want to win games. You know, your defense can't just shut every offense down with like 10 points a game. It's just not going to happen. You need to have some explosive players.
So is that what you're going for first, a wide receiver?
Yeah, I'm looking at Devontae Smith from Alabama, probably the Heisman favorite in college football this year. He's probably going to have 2 more games left. They play Notre Dame in the first game of the playoff in college football, and then they'll probably go to the championship game, considering they're favored by like 3 touchdowns. But this guy is basically everything you want a wide receiver: speed, athleticism, a little thin, but obviously that can come with time, and then he can bulk up in the NFL. But I've seen this guy make play after play. One-handed catches, route running is excellent. Reminds me a lot of Jerry Jeudy, route running wise, but he might even be better than that, honestly. And same thing with Henry Ruggs. He doesn't have the speed that Henry Ruggs does, but not too many receivers do, and he's not too far off. So if you can land Devontae Smith with that pick, it's depending on – it doesn't matter who your quarterback is. You need some explosive players. that Justin Jefferson miss last year, not getting him really hurt, because if you look now, you have Justin Jefferson and possibly Devontae Smith on the same team, which would have been incredible. But that's 2020 vision. You got to look forward here, and
Right.
Devontae Smith would be a great addition.
Yeah, Justin Jefferson, his first year in the NFL, and he's also going through his first year in the Pro Bowl. He's doing stuff that other rookies have not even come close to doing in years. But so this is going to be a lot of house cleaning at the end of this
Of course.
season. Who is first to go, in your opinion? I
Well,
have an opinion. I'd say Jim Schwartz. It's too much of him being named lately to go unnoticed.
yeah, he's come up in the media a lot. And honestly, I wasn't going to say Jim Schwartz if you asked me the same question 2 or 3 weeks ago, because I thought the players he has is just not they're not talented enough to stop NFL offenses right now. So, but Jim Schwartz probably the first guy to go, and I say that because it's just like the odd man out in this situation. I don't think Jim Schwartz is a bad defensive coordinator. I really don't think he's that bad. If he has good players like he did in the Super Bowl and he has depth, I think he can really run a good scheme. But when you have a defense, especially recency bias, and looking at yesterday's performance against the Cowboys, it was just horrible. The defense completely just shut down. It looks like they stopped trying after like the third quarter. But Jim Schwartz probably the first guy to go. But Doug Peterson still remains on that hot seat. I don't want to get anything twisted here. I mean, 4-10-1 season with a quarterback who you have as a backup on your payroll with that amount of money is not something you want to see with the caps from the cap space point of things. So much to clean, so much to go through here, so much cleaning house to do, and we'll see what happens. But I think I agree. I think Jim Schwartz probably the first guy.
Yeah, it did look like Doug Peterson saved himself when Jalen Hurts was first thrown in there, the plays that he was handing Hurts. And Hurts was making everyone look a little better in that one. But then you go to this game, Doug goes for it on 4th and 15. The Eagles can still be in this game with that field goal to give them 3 more points ahead of
Mhm.
I believe the Cowboys were ahead of us by 13 at that point, and Doug decides to go for it.
Yeah,
And
it's bad
just,
decision making. It's bad. I
yeah,
think I just want to add
exactly.
before you go on. I just want to point out this is a guy and a head coach that goes for it, 4th and 4 in his own territory. And yesterday, after we mentioned the penalties, and we were kind of bumped out of field goal range there, but still in Dallas territory, he doesn't go for it on 4th and 2, and he punts. I just don't understand it. There's no consistency.
Yeah, it's frustrating for sure, and maybe some help added to relieve him of the offensive duties. Maybe that would save Doug Peterson's job, but I'm definitely looking at Jim Schwartz to
Mhm.
go. And Howie Roseman isn't in the clear. I know we've been able to see his choices in drafting kind of show off, and I do like Jalen Hurts and Jalen Rager too. I've been impressed with his ability and his agility playing in this game, and I think that he's a great addition to this offense, but he's not the answer. Obviously, you see the aging Deshaun Jackson go 81 yards to the house, but he probably won't be here next year.
Right.
And it just shows that we really do need a lot to work on both sides of the football. And Howie Roseman hasn't been getting it done for us lately,
Of
especially
course. Yeah.
in
Listen,
these drafts
we
we
have a
mentioned.
we have a lot of guys that can do certain things well. We have Quez Watkins, a speed threat.
Yeah,
Deshaun Jackson, a speed threat. Jalen Ray. None of the guys are a number one threat. Alshon Jeffrey, one of those go up and get it kind of guys, doesn't have the speed. It's all mix
yeah,
and match. You don't have one of those complete receivers. That's why I believe Devontae Smith has that ability to be a complete receiver, and he would come in here. I think Jalen Rager is probably more beneficial in the slot. I feel like his snap count is not where it needs to be. I think he should be playing a higher percentage of the snaps. And guys like Travis Fulgham, unfortunately, shouldn't be out there as much. Alshon Jeffrey probably shouldn't be out there as much as well. So it's so weird because you look at the box score and you have like 9 guys catching a pass. I feel like there should be more consistency, more targets for your star receivers, because we don't have one, but
right.
the guys who should be, like Jalen Rager, should be getting more volume.
Yeah, let's go through that right now. Rager and Goddard, both 3 catches. Rager had 30, Goddard 38. Then Jackson, of course, with the 81-yard bomb. And Watkins, he did have 2 catches, 57 yards, and we just continue to be impressed by his speed
Yeah.
on the field, and a nice addition as well. Remember, we have Goodwin. We had Goodwin. He didn't play this year, but I believe we have him on a 2-year.
I
So
believe so.
we'll see him out next season, hopefully. And would you a question that I'm curious about your answer? Would you keep Alshon Jeffrey if forget everything contract wise, and by the way he's been playing lately with Jalen Hurts in, would you keep him on this roster?
That's a good question. I don't think I would. I just feel like there's too much bad blood with him and this team this year. Not as bad as with
Yeah.
Jason Peters, but not on that level, but close to it. But no, I just don't think you can keep him around. I think we got to get younger. We got to rebuild. His time here, obviously the run to the Super Bowl was great and everything like that. But I just don't feel like with the younger guys that we have and the opportunities that we need to see these guys play, Travis Fulgham being one of them. Um, I just feel like his time here is done, and you really got to clear house now. What guys stay, what guys go? I'm not too sure. There's so many young guys here, so many guys that have come here and only played one season. Fulgham, Rager, Quez Watkins, only one season so far, so they're still on rookie contracts. Obviously, Fulgham off the practice squad, but you don't expect guys like Alshon and Djax to be here anymore, and then Ertz, another guy you don't expect to be here either because Dallas Goedert's going to take over that. The guy that's the question mark is Greg Ward. That's the one guy that we'll see. I feel like he's on the table. Will he stay? Will he go? I guess it depends on if they draft Devontae Smith to be that deep threat on the outside. They can move Jalen Reagor into the slot and then no more Greg Ward unless you want to keep him for depth. So I don't know. We'll see. It's a lot. We're uncovering just one portion of this team right now. We haven't even mentioned any specifics on the defense, but a lot to go into, and I'm sure we'll be covering it the rest of the way into the offseason.
Yeah, of course, this all goes into who's going to be the quarterback, who's going to be the coach going forward. So I expect some of the newer wide receivers I expect some of them to not be on this team next year, depending on moves that we make going forward. But let's head into this playoff scenario. You have the Eagles. Obviously, we are eliminated from playoff contention. But if Washington beats us next week, they get in. However, if Washington loses, it's up for grabs for the winner of Dallas and New York, and they will determine their own fate if Washington loses that game. So look ahead to those games. Our game was moved against Washington, so that's something to look forward to. Not for us, Wise, but for the other fans in the NFC East and going forward. This is our second to last Bird's Nest. Next week, we'll be looking to wrap up the season, and hopefully that next season will be a little more positive. All right, guys. Thank you for tuning into the Bird's Nest.